chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one. Ooh.
When I'm with my boo, 1 and 1 miss 2, then it mix free. Yeah, we had the baby. She want Versace, she want Gucci. Gotta lay down all my bands on the Lambo, cause she don't like my Volvo, no, no. Yeah, she got a diamond grill on her baby teeth. Coolest kid in the nursery, but you know, I'm not a materialist, an idealist. I flow with the transcendental argument. Reading Wittgenstein, investigate my girl philosophically. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? I just want the money.
Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy,
yeah,
just give me one.
yeah,
ooh.
straight up, I'm simple for you, girl. I want my heart, want you in my world. I see you in the super chat, I see you wanna go from me. I see you on the OnlyFans and you got my heart in your hand. Please don't crush it, girl, understand that I'm a simp, but I'm proud. I'm a geek, but I'm proud. And I wanna feel your breath at a convention. I want my picture of you groping my ass to be on social media. I want my friends to see it on Discord. I'm gonna upload it to my subreddit and they all gonna see it. My friends, they gonna like it, they gonna retweet it. But I think that it's gonna be the greatest moment of my life, and I want you to be a part of it, girl, yeah.
Don't make me go back to that 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no way to be alive. Don't make me go back to 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no way to be alive. Ooh. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one. Ooh. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one. Ooh.
I can't hear ya. Let me hear you say it. Let me hear you say fuck Klaus Schwab. Fuck Klaus Schwab. Let me hear you say fuck Klaus Schwab. Yeah.
Hey Piggy, hey Piggy, don't make me go back to that 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no way to be alive. Don't make me go back to 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no way to be alive. Ooh. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one. Ooh.
When I'm with my boo, 1 and 1 miss 2, then it mix free. Yeah, we had the baby. She want Versace, she want Gucci. Gotta lay down all my bands on the Lambo, cause she don't like my Volvo, no, no. Yeah, she got a diamond grill on her baby teeth. Coolest kid in the nursery, but you know, I'm not a materialist, an idealist. I flow with the transcendental argument. Reading Wittgenstein, investigate my girl philosophically. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? I just want the money.
Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy.
Yeah.
Just give me one.
Yeah,
Ooh.
straight up, I'm simple for you, girl. I want my heart, want you in my world. I see you in the super chat. I see you wanna go from me. I see you on the OnlyFans, and you've got my heart in your hand. Please don't crush it, girl. Understand that I'm a simp, but I'm proud. I'm a geek, but I'm proud. And I wanna feel your breath at a convention. I want my picture of you groping my ass to be on social media. I want my friends to see it on Discord. I'm gonna upload it to my subreddit, and they all gonna see it. My friends, they gonna like it, they gonna retweet it, but I feel that it's gonna be the greatest moment of my life, and I want you to be a part of it, girl. Yeah.
Don't make me go back to that 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no way to be alive. Don't make me go back to 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no way to be alive. Ooh, hey Biggie, just give me one more super chat. Hey Biggie, just give me one more super chance. Hey Biggie, just give me one more super chance. Hey Biggie, just give me one. Ooh, hey Biggie, just give me one more super chat. Hey Biggie, just give me one more super chance. Hey Biggie, just give me one more super chance. Hey Biggie, just give me one. Ooh.
I can't hear ya. Let me hear you say it. Let me hear you say fuck Klaus Schwab. Fuck Klaus Schwab. Let me hear you say fuck Klaus Schwab. Yeah.
Hey Piggy, hey Piggy, don't make me go back to that 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no.
It's the monkeypox summer. Bill Gates in a banana hammer. What'd you think of that song today?
It's a bop.
Was it fresh?
It's a hit. It's fresh
Okay.
and easy.
Were you laughing or not?
Yeah, I was laughing.
Jamie was in the other room listening to me freestyle. So if you didn't hear today's Bill Gates freestyle, monkeypox summer, it's a banger. You can go listen to it over on Rockfin and on my Twitter. So
It will get stuck in your head.
monkeypox summer. Anyway, here's the link there. So as you guys know, it's been a while since we did our final installment. We'll have an appendix, an addendum, an appendage,
An epilogue.
a third arm, a third boob, like Total Recall, that will be covering the dystopian movies that don't have a date. Most of these had a rough date that we could find, and so we are on our last one, and we have worked all the way up to the year 800,000, right? So before we do that, I want to give a shout out to a couple of our buddies who sent us their cool stuff. We get quite a lot of cool stuff sent. So thank you to our buddy Owen Cyclops. I'm sure everybody in here knows who Owen Cyclops is. His book is out, full of comics and really, really cool stuff. Jamie and I have been looking at it. She read a whole bunch of it and had a few questions about some of the comics in there. It's pretty wild. You should go check out Channel 1. It's his first collection of comics by our buddy Owen Cyclops. So thanks to him.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's more like a graphic novel
Yeah, exactly.
than a comic book.
And there's like some mystical things in here that you had questions about.
I did. I want to know if this is
Like
real.
this El Topo Booby Man here.
No.
El Topo Booby Man. El Topo Booby Man.
I think that's his
Where's he at?
corn demon or something.
El Topo Booby Man. Suck up on the teats of El Topos.
I don't know what that means, but it's really interesting. And then our friend Dawkins Storm from the old school, I believe the Boiler Room audience days, he wrote a fiction book that is an Orthodox fiction book about the martyrs. It's called Dock and Storm, Blood of the Martyrs. So thanks to our friends for their creations. We always value the people who can create. I, for example, am a rising star in the rap scene, so I can create. A lot of people don't know that, but I think everybody was pleasantly surprised with Pay Piggy. But I mean, I owe that partly to my friends New Mystic over there, who actually did the rapping. Somebody said, "Is that you rapping?" No, I did not do the rap on that. However, I did rap today. So today's Gil Bates, Monkeypox Summer, Gil Bates in a banana hammer. That's real, and it's all freestyle. Everything is freestyle. I don't ever plan it, ever,
Monkeypox.
because I'm just a lazy son bitch. Y'all like my hat? I'm trying to find a new hat because pretty much nerds have ruined every kind of hat. You can't wear a fedora. Not that I would ever wear a fedora. I mean, it's not the 1940s, so I'm not gonna wear a fedora. But
why don't you get a top hat like a Master
a top
Mason?
hat.
And bring it back.
Putting on the Ritz. Dun, 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 dun. That's all I can think of. Dressed up like $1 million.
Or you could get one of those like newsboy caps.
No, those are even worse. That's like Depression Socialist Man hat. Give me more money. Right. I'm protesting the worker.
Yes.
The fat cats.
You're about to join the.
We gotta fight the fat cats.
You're striking with your union buddies.
We're on strike against the fat cats. Workers of the world, unite against the fat cats.
Lots of hats are ruined, I think.
Yes,
What
because
else?
they're always associated with some goober movement.
Yeah.
So this one just says Grease Monkey. I got it at a gas station. So, all right, we'll just go with gas station hat. And then I'm wearing my horrible Parker Lewis t-shirt, which you got me for live streams. So I'm wearing it because of live streams, right?
Yes, I think it looks cool.
It's that monkeypox summer.
Don't be
Bill
a bummer.
It's gonna be a bummer.
Yeah.
Because he's anyway. So tonight we're gonna do classics, movies that I've seen a bunch. You had not seen Logan's Run, had you? Mm-mm. Okay, so you had fun with me watching that. Logan 6 or Logan 5? Is he Logan 5 or Logan 6? Remember, he has a number. Anyway.
Oh yeah, because they regenerate.
Right.
All right.
No, they don't regenerate.
Well, their name does.
Yes. Waterworld, which is an amazing stink bomb.
I liked watching you watch that. That was funnier
Than the movie.
Yeah, because you hated it so much.
I mean, it's so bad it's entertaining. What's that one say?
Planet of the Apes.
Oh, that one's a lot of fun. And then Time Machine, of course, H.G. Wells, which we actually haven't done any analysis of. But I did include a chapter in my book on Logan's Run and Time Machine. So, but oddly, these other ones I haven't ever gotten to. But of course, Waterworld is a bomb. So why would I get to it? It's terrible. And if you want to support our live stream, you can, of course, use the super chat function. Remember, guys, that super chats are also available at any time. So if you're watching this tomorrow, 10 years from now, if by some miracle we're not gone, you can always super chat, and I will read it on the next show. And I promised everybody that because I had a migraine for the last live stream, I will, or creeping migraine, I will go ahead and read everybody's super chats from last time tonight that I missed. So, is that cool?
Yep, I'm ready. I've got my chocolate.
Give me one more super chance.
Alright.
Chocolate. Oh, yeah. That's a show sponsor. We'll get into that a little bit later. So, let's start with Rogan's Run.
Rogan's Run.
Joe Rogan's Run.
Okay, movie is 1976. The year is 2274. And it starts with, like, your typical war, overpopulation,
Right.
collapse.
Yeah, all those dystopian movies have that as the cause.
Yeah. So then we have the boob world order.
Because it looks like a boob.
Yes.
That was my
The
dumb
new
joke.
city looks like the boobs. And it's actually a model.
It's an enclosed city.
It looks like Epcot Hot Wheels.
It does. It's like a model. It looks just like Epcot. In fact, I did a video analysis of Logan's Run for you guys years ago. I think I could pull that up, but I tied it into Epcot because it looks just like the City of Tomorrow, which is what Epcot is, right?
I do like these old movies because they had to be creative in the sets and how to.
Yeah, man, you had to make a whole model.
Yeah,
So
I liked it.
it never comes up. I don't know why.
So in the Boob City, they have this death ritual called the Renewal,
Right.
and they get on this carousel, and you float up like Willy Wonka's soda pop room and die, right?
Yes, because you... Maybe I moved it to Rockfin. That's why I can't find it. But it is on Rockfin.
So they ascend like they drank the pop, and they turn into fireworks. And everybody's watching and cheering them on.
So this is shadow banned for whatever reason. You cannot pull this video up. But here it is. After it got like 20,000 views. Here's the Logan's Run video, guys, if you want to watch that later. Yeah, because it's a eugenics-based society, and they have a radical depopulation measure in place, and it's the people in the city don't even remember how all this came about, right? Because it was hundreds of years ago that they set this up as a breakaway civilization. So we find out that, as we've often covered with breakaway civilizations, Logan's Run is one of them.
Everybody's got that thing in their hand.
Right, the jewel in their hand is an esoteric thing that I've covered in my chapter in my book, so I'm not going to repeat everything in my book, but that's part of what tells you it's like you're expired. You've expired. Time to go cook.
Well, it changes colors depending on how
Yeah, when
old
you're
you
expired.
Are. Yeah.
And then it lights up. That way you can't hide it.
Right.
So everybody can see that you've expired.
So in the beginning of the movie, one guy like escapes the ceremony.
Well, he tries to, but
and
he is
they kill
shot.
him with glee. Like the hunters, what are they called? Sandman? The police?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, he's a Sandman law enforcement, so that's Logan.
Well, the
5.
Sandman, so he has to kill he's like the Reaper.
Yeah.
Like Kronos, Sandman, right? Father Time.
Yeah.
So your time's up, you get annihilated, right? You get disintegrated.
Right. So then he goes home and he orders up this girl on 3D Tinder, right?
Yeah, you
And
can
she
just
just
punch them in,
materializes.
right?
In the room.
And it turns out that it is like it's more like a roster where you can offer your ladies of the evening services, so you sign up to do it, which was pretty prophetic.
Mm-hmm.
So you can put yourself into it.
Lyfans. Kind of like that.
What? Yeah, except that it's actual ladies of the evening services.
Right.
It's not just looking at things.
Because they 3D print out. No,
They do. You get a 3D printed thought.
Yes. I like when they're having that party. Well, I mean, their whole life is about hedonism because they only live so long.
Right. So the society is run by hedonism and the pleasures of youth,
Mm-hmm.
and they kill you at age 30.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And when they're hanging out in the party and taking drugs, it looks like cotton candy. Remember, like the poofy
Oh,
cotton
the
candy?
slow motion. There's an ORGY club.
Yeah.
Right. It looks like a rave. Where the monkeypox come from.
Yes.
From the raves. Because
Oh,
there's so many raves out there right now.
and you can also get a face change.
Mm-hmm. It's a plastic surgery based society that's run by, who was the 70s blonde chick?
Farrah Fawcett?
Yes, Farrah Fawcett is running. She's in there doing that. Remember?
Yeah. It's called A New You.
Yeah.
Face change. So he's a Sandman, and he somehow is like wondering, how do you escape these?
Michael York.
Yeah.
The main character.
And he figures out that like 1,000 people have escaped the.
Well, yeah, after a
Carousel.
while, he starts doubting, like everybody in dystopian films, right? It's always like a man in the system who's the cop, right? Who begins to doubt in every dystopian movie. Mm-hmm. It's the police enforcer person who begins to wonder if his society is erected around a giant lie, and of course it is. And here he realizes that the central computer that runs the city has not told him everything, and his questions start stacking up, and he realizes that certain people have fled and they have a revolutionary, vagabond society outside the city. Then he's tasked with going and infiltrating and shutting them down by the AI supercomputer that runs the city. Mm-hmm. So it's a giant euthanasia-based society that's run by AI.
It's called the sanctuary is what he's looking for. Mm-hmm. There's always a little remnant of people trying to escape the system that live like in the tunnels like rats. Right. You know, rappers.
And they're always... Yes, like Dennis Leary's Revolutionary Society in
Demolition
Man.
You say these are rat burgers?
Rat burgers. Rat burgers.
So he has to find the rat burger eaters.
Would you rise up in a revolution with Dennis Leary?
Do I have to live underground in the tunnels?
Yes, and you have to smoke cigarettes with him all day long and listen to him in his raspy comedy, bitching about everything.
No. So
raspy cigarette comedians are annoying, don't you think?
Who's that one?
Can anyone even remember a Dennis Leary joke? It's just him like flipping his floppy hair over and rasping and smoking. Don't you think?
Who's that one with the long stringy hair and the black hat and the trench coat that like chain smokes and yells?
Sam Kinison?
Yeah, he smokes a lot too.
I can't remember if he smokes or not. But he's a different type of comedian. Dennis Leary doesn't yell. He just rants and complains. And
he grumbles.
Yeah. And just constantly smokes. But Sam Kinison, his whole shtick is tell you the joke and yell the last line.
Yeah.
Although Sam Kinison did say one thing we were watching the other day. It made me laugh when I was watching Bad Comedians.
Bill Hicks smoked a lot too.
Did he smoke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the main guy goes to get a new face, and the doctor tries to kill him. Why? I don't remember why that happened.
Because they realized that he was beginning to wake up.
Oh, okay.
And they couldn't explain why because the AI computer causes his thing to go off.
So he can go and get
So he can infiltrate.
Yeah.
They wouldn't believe that he was an infiltrator unless his hand was really blinking.
Right.
And the computer sent him on a secret mission to do that.
And so they shortened his life.
Yeah. But then he's starting to think, well, hey, wait a minute. The AI is like going to kill me early. Like I'm being lied to here. Something's off.
Right.
Something's off.
So.
By the way, this video is shadow banned, so there's something true in it because you cannot bring it up.
Then the other Sandmans are chasing him because they don't know that he's working undercover.
Right. And initially he is going to still side with the system. He's going to infiltrate. But then he runs away with the girl, his lady of the evening that he ordered. And they end up on tumbling down a rabbit hole of truth bombs.
And she wears an ankh.
Correct.
Right.
Why she wears an ankh, I don't know, but the movie does have quite a few kind of esoteric symbols plastered through it. Like the flower of life comes up and the ankh. I'm not really sure why. I think they just kind of threw some symbols in there because I don't know why maybe she represents a new Eve. She's the mother of all living because they end up being, of course, the liberators of the whole civilization. Mm-hmm. If you remember that. He's like a Moses figure.
Yeah, so when they're escaping the Sandman, it's like a Plato's cave because he has to push through
totally
the different
Plato's
levels
cave.
to get out, and then they end up in the ice cave.
It's a video game.
Remember?
It's a Mario game. You go to the ice level, then you have to go to the water level. Literally, he goes to the water level.
I know, and they meet C-3PO's uncle, like this robot who's been watching over. That's what he looks like.
You talking about Luke's uncle?
No.
C-3PO's uncle?
No, he's a robot, and he looks like C-3PO kind of.
Oh, I thought you meant Uncle Owen. I thought you meant the old guy. Uncle Owen! Abaru!
Not the guys that burned up.
I'm trying to remember my Uncle Owen impression. You waste time with your friends when they're done with your chores. I want you up on that ridge with those condensers. Uncle Owen, I was going to the Tashi station to pick up some power converters. You can waste time with your friends when they're done with your chores. You said Uncle Owen. Or you said...
C-3PO's.
I know, but I thought you were talking about the old man that they meet at the Capitol building. Who looks like...
I'm talking about...
He looks like Uncle Owen.
The robot they meet in the ice cave.
Now, yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
He's a fusion of man and machine.
And he looks like C-3PO. Yes.
And he freezes people.
Right.
Why is he freezing them?
I still see you. Mr. Freeze.
I know.
Because he had a job programmed by the AI that runs the city to control the food. And he thought that the city he was starting to go haywire, and his program went nuts, and he thought that it was his job to freeze dry everything.
Oh, okay.
And he was going to freeze dry Logan and his chick.
So...
To save them.
Right. So he's got the people popsicles and then...
Peepsicle.
The peepsicles.
Shout out to my peepsicles.
And he tries to freeze the hero and he gets away and they destroy the crib.
Right. So Logan destroys him and they run away and then they find sunlight. Of course, he's never been outside the city. So you get that, again, Plato's cave emerges to see the light analogy. And then he finds DC. So they wander into Washington, D.C. and we find out that it's, again, hundreds of years. It's a collapsed dystopia. Everything's overrun with brush.
It's sinking back into the swamp.
Right. And so the swamp was not drained, we decided.
No.
Drain the swamp. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be great, really. The swamp was not drained. Proof of it in 2274, DC is still a swamp. It sinks into the swamp. And he finds the Capitol building is inhabited by an old coot. Technical term, old coot.
It's ancient Joe Biden with dementia.
But I thought, yeah, there's an old Bo Jiden. There's an old demented Bo Jiden with the. He looks like Uncle Owen. Basically,
he's a cat man, right? And he's got like.
That's a rare thing. Like you think of cat ladies,
cats.
you know, and usually old men have dogs, but
he's a crazy cat man.
He's an old crazy old cat man, and he remembers a little bit about what this place is, and he thinks that maybe the Lincoln was a president or something, but he's not sure, right? Because it's basically DC is in its ancient ruins, and so together they decide that they need to go back and free the people in the city because everybody's trapped by, you know, it's the story of the enlightened philosopher Socrates, whoever wants to go back to tell all the people that they need to be free. But Logan has been chased by his best friend. So the whole time his best friend has been hot on his trail to kill him. And they have a final battle because he's betrayed by his friend. And also echoing the allegory of the cave, because his friend would rather kill Logan than learn the truth, right? Because if you remember in the allegory of the cave, when the philosopher goes back to tell people about what's really going on in the sunlight, in the real world, the people in the cave would rather stay in their chains and be obsessed by the phantasms on the wall. And so Logan's friend represents that because he tries to kill Logan rather than be free.
Right. Well, he's been peeping over his shoulder the whole time,
but the thing is that
right.
he could be free.
Yeah, but
he chooses slavery, right? So that's a perennial theme that people don't want to wake up, right? And think about how relevant that is today in our world. Hello.
And to the point
a lot of people don't want to wake up.
He wants to kill Logan.
Right.
And he gets his butt kicked by Logan because.
Right, he loses the fight, and then of course they go back and they liberate the AI. It's like Zeitgeist City. Mm-hmm. Remember the plan
it's
in
Venus Project.
It's the Venus Project city that everybody's trapped in this hellhole smart city run by AI.
But then they catch him and they put him in like the MK Ultra MRI machine. Remember that?
That was early on. I forgot about that.
And he makes it malfunction.
The police are basically mind controlled in these MK Ultra chairs. And
his brain makes the AI malfunction, and it like inexplicably starts multiple explosions.
I don't remember how they the city collapses.
So they try to brainwash him or do something to him mentally, but his mind is so strong that it overpowers the machine.
Yeah, something like that.
And it causes all these explosions in the city, and that's how they escape the AI. And then when
Michael York's IQ was too high for the robot.
All of the people venture out of the city, and they see the old man, who they've never seen.
They've never seen an old man, right? Because you have to die at age 30, right?
Yeah. And they.
So, what did you think of Logan's Run? Have you never seen it?
It was a cool sci-fi. It was colorful and.
It was a big deal at the time. It was like, it was pre-Star Wars.
I love
so it was
the
like
costumes.
The Star Wars of the time.
I want her sparkly green dress.
It was like a year before Star Wars. Yeah. So, and I have a more detailed analysis if anybody wants to see it in my first book. All right, so where are we at now? Let's move up to, by the way, Al Gore ends up being correct. Leo DiCappuccino is correct because the world ice caps melt and everybody gets flooded by the year 2500.
This movie is such propaganda that I can't believe that you get away with that. It's just all product placements and propaganda, right?
It is. It's kind of weird, too, because what's their product?
Or am I thinking of a different
I thought of all kinds of dumb things with this movie. Number one, if we're like 500 years in the future, how does Sea-Doos survive 500 years in the future, right?
Okay, so the polar ice caps have melted. Global warming has won. The first scene, he's peeing into like this Rube Goldberg filter Berkey contraption and drinking it. It's so gross.
Right. There's a lot of gross things in this movie. So the very first scene grosses you out because it's like grimy Kevin Costner drinking his urine. So you're immediately grossed out, and then he beats up this woman like 5 times.
Yeah.
Which is kind of that's surprising that would be allowed in a movie.
He's a lone wolf pirate. Half fish,
and
half
man. We find out later why, because he's like offspring of Dagon, right?
Yeah.
He's
evolving, babe, because we evolved to our environment. Do you know that?
Oh
okay,
so look, you can't just evolve gills. I'm sorry, but like gills don't just work on their own. They have to work with other systems in the body. So just because you have webbed feet, you can't just evolve gills and breathe water.
He's got webbed toes. He swims like a dolphin, like super fast.
He does, and it's really ridiculous. You'll start noticing all the ridiculous things in this movie, like perfectly function. Have you ever had a Sea-Doo or ridden on Sea-Doos? Okay, Sea-Doos break literally every 3 days. Something goes wrong with them, they break down all the time. There is no way a fleet, an army of apocalypse men on Sea-Doos could wage warfare.
A gang of Sea-Doos. Like Hell's Angels.
No, but they're notorious for how often they break down.
I know.
They're really ridiculous.
But they come from an oil tanker, which is even more ridiculous.
Well, that was my first question was, where's everybody getting refined oil in the year 2500 when there's no land?
That explains it.
There's no land, right?
Yes. So everyone is Junkyard Jack Sparrow now.
Yep. Grimy.
Dirt is priceless.
Right.
This one floating town, they feed dead people to this bog that is surrounded a tree.
So there's this tree of life, tree of life imagery,
and they are feeding corpses to it, right?
Right, because everything is sustainable and renewable. So this is the world that Al Gore and Leonardo DiCaprio and Klaus Schwab are telling us is coming, right? The flooded world where there's no coasts, and New York, right, Florida, everything's underwater because an ice cap melts and the polar bears can't swim and they're all drowning, right? Mm-hmm. It's all just so obviously ridiculous, right? But this movie was promoting that in 1995. That's totally the movie. And the villains are people who have oil and smoke cigarettes.
Oh, yeah, because they're called the smokers.
Right, so they're demonizing big tobacco and big oil companies. Now, big tobacco and big oil are nefarious companies. They're not good companies. But the point is that the moral superiority message of this preachy movie is ridiculous. It's just preposterous.
And then with every dystopian comes your ratty child.
Feral Child.
who is feral, but
It's like
also mystical.
The They Might Be Giants movie, right? Or a song. Rabid child stays at home, talks on a CB. Hammer down, rabbit ears. Hammer down, rabbit ears.
I never heard that one.
Rabid child. Anybody who's a They Might Be Giants fan, you know Rabid Child. So every dystopian movie has Rabid Child, feral child. And yes, the feral child has some role or some mystical.
She has a tattoo.
She has a
That is
tattoo.
it's
A map to dry land, and has a tree.
She was born on dry land and set afloat.
And there's a
like
tree
Moses.
in it. Isn't there a tree?
In the tattoo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the tree that they have is a key to this tree of life.
So the child was born on dry land, and they set her afloat in a basket.
So she's a Moses.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
And then Webb and Costner is evolution.
Did you say Webb and Costner or me?
It's written down here.
But who said it?
I don't know.
You can have credit for it.
I don't care.
We were trying to think of Kevin Costner fish names. Remember?
Yeah.
Kevin
Codfish.
I said Kevin Codfish. Codsner.
Kevin Costner. Yes.
I guess he's a fish.
He's evolution.
He is, right.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's like a lot of these dystopian movies, when you start getting into 2,500 to 800,000, they really push the ridiculous evolution narrative to the point of like absurdity. Especially with Planet of the Apes and Time Machine, where you get two species that have evolved, Eloy and Morlocks.
So he's Planet of the Dolphins.
Well, you would love that. You love dolphins.
Avatars.
You're like a living Lisa Frank painting. I mean, you're like, this is Lisa Frank's shirt, right?
Yeah.
You're like living incarnate Lisa Frank.
Yes. Half of my brain is a haunted house, and the other half is like Lisa Frank land.
Haunted house.
Yeah. Because of all the conspiracy stuff crammed in there.
Oh.
All the,
I was like,
the ghosts of...
Maybe a cartoon haunted house. Or like the haunted house in Mario with the little the Boo ghosts.
And
that's the kind of haunted
all
house
the
in your head.
conspiracies are the Boo ghosts.
If you guys didn't know, girls' minds are cartoons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that true? Okay.
Okay, so this is like Mad Max in the water, basically.
It is, and it totally rips off multiple dystopian movies, including Mad Max. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's even scenes where you can tell they ripped off George Miller's cinematography style.
One of the stupidest characters was the wise science man with the balloon.
There's always old.
He's like
old Gnostic science man.
Junkyard Da Vinci.
Yeah.
In there, right?
Right. They have a Junkyard Da Vinci.
Oh, you said Dennis Mudskipper?
Instead of Hopper. The bad guy's Dennis Hopper.
So
Dennis Mudskipper instead of Dennis Mudhopper.
Muddy Hop Skipper. So Kevin Costner and Dennis Mudskipper are fighting.
Can you think of a better Kevin Costner fish name? I couldn't come up with anything better than Kevin Cod Snapper.
Catfish.
Kevin Cod Snapper. Snapper's a fish.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's this whole Dennis Hopper sacks the city because he's looking for the child.
Yes.
And
the mystical child.
Webb and Costner saves the kid and the babysitter on his boat. But he's like
Gene Triplehorn, who he beats like 5 times.
I know.
He just smacks her constantly.
He's very abusive towards them.
He's
he
nuts.
Didn't really want to save them. It was more like an accident.
Yeah, but that's partly why the movie is so bad. Is that his bitter whatever's going on with him? It doesn't really make sense.
He's got a chip on his guilt.
But
about something. Okay. No, because he's discriminated against. That's why. So. He doesn't like people.
Okay. Earth is not yet woke to his kind.
Yes,
and
he has no kind.
The rights of the fish peeps.
But yeah, he's like constantly threatening them, and he whacks her with an oar. Do you remember that?
Like you could kill somebody doing that.
He drops the sail
I know,
on
that's
her.
what I'm saying.
That could break your head. Anyways. Oh, it also has like this preachy, moralistic, anti-pollution message because all of the pollution.
Because humans pollute everything. Oil, by the way, comes out of the earth. I don't know if people don't know this, but oil actually comes out of the earth, so it's not a natural toxin, right?
Yeah. And then the bad guys are from the oil boat.
Mm-hmm.
At one point,
Well, they live on it. It's like
he
their
throws
civilization.
the little kid off the boat.
Yeah, he just tosses the kid in the ocean, like, you know.
Yeah, you're annoying.
I mean, he's totally psycho. That's partly what's weird. Is like, there's nothing likable about this dark hero.
He cuts her hair off as a punishment. That's pretty.
He's just psycho.
Yeah.
And then,
because he's part animal, maybe. Is that why? Because he's not fully.
I mean,
Is
what
he
kind of?
turning
I mean,
wild?
fish are pretty benign. I mean, unless he's like part shark or something, like
So-
Shark Week with Kevin Costner.
Well, dolphins don't have gills; they have blowholes. So maybe he is turning part shark.
Okay.
Because sharks have gills.
Maybe he's a beta fish. He's part beta fish.
Yeah. Oh, Smeat made an appearance in this. You always gotta love that.
I didn't realize that that's a recurring brand like Morley's.
Mm-hmm.
So when Hollywood uses meat spam, they don't have the rights to it, or marbles, they don't have the rights to it. It's Morley's and it's Smeat.
Where do we see Smeat in Millennium?
Millennium, yes.
And yeah, I always like that. So, oh, this is so dumb. He uses himself as bait to catch a huge sea monster.
Well,
Remember
he's
that?
good at fish and bait.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he goes inside the fish and cuts it. He rips it apart from inside out.
And then
He's like Jonah, dude, but like a badass.
you said he's collecting plankton in his baleen mullet.
I said that. A Bailey mullet.
Baleen. I said that because baleen's like what the whales have instead of teeth
Oh,
to collect.
he is collecting plankton in his mullet.
Yeah.
I
And
don't remember saying that, but that's pretty funny.
and the kid is riding him like a dolphin. Do you remember that part?
Would you rather have a Sea-Doo or a personal Kevin Costner to ride?
Well, yeah, he wouldn't break down as much.
Yeah, but he's gonna smack you with an oar if you do anything wrong.
I know.
He's gonna throw you off the boat in the middle of the ocean. Just toss his kids away.
He's like ghetto Aquaman.
He's psycho Aquaman, man.
He takes her on a diving bell tour of the city. Remember? She's like, I want to
That
see
was
a
so
city. And he's like, okay. So he puts this thing on her and takes her down into the
What is dumb?
ruins of civilization.
What's dumber, Postman or Waterworld?
Waterworld?
Stuff's getting better.
No. Stuff's getting worse in Waterworld, dude.
Yeah, I think actually you're right. Waterworld is probably worse than Postman. They're both entertainingly bad. I mean, it's actually fun to watch these now.
So if you didn't think this was environmentalist propaganda before, when you find out the villain worships the captain of the Exxon Valdez oil tanker, Joe Hazelwood. Do you
I
remember
mean, who
that?
even remembers this? I remember that in the 90s, the whole Exxon. They made a huge deal out of the Exxon oil rig tanking and hitting rocks or whatever, and a bunch of oil spilled out. And they were like, the whole thing was whether he was drinking while he did it. So there was this huge debate because he had a drinking problem as a captain of an oil rig. And so the Exxon Valdez became like, it was like remember the Gulf oil disaster? It was like that of the 90s. It was huge. So the movie puts the captain as the guy that Dennis Hopper worships.
Yeah. And
It's just so
Dennis
ridiculous.
Hopper's kind of like a religious leader because he's like,
It's like a cult.
I saw the land.
Yeah, he
Right?
preaches like Seaborn Billy Graham.
Yes, and he talks about like promised land and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I mean he literally preaches like a cult.
So he's like a capitalist.
Oh, that's right, the promised land. He promises that he's going to take everybody to the promised land with his oil rig.
Yeah.
So it's symbolic of the capitalist, the fascist capitalist man who's like, gonna take us to the utopia with like, profits or whatever.
He's an industrialist leader.
Well, he even acts like Mussolini when he's up there preaching. It's like Billy Graham Mussolini when he's preaching.
He calls his boat the SS Tub of SHIT. Remember? Can you say that? No.
I mean, you can say it, but we all know what you mean.
Okay, so the end climax rescue was over the top ridiculous.
I totally fell asleep, so.
Bungee jumping from the flying contraption down to save the whoever.
I want to know what did Kevin Costner have any role in this? He was a producer, and it's like.
The bird came to their ship like Noah.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of biblical imagery.
He's like a Noah, Jonah, Moses.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then...
But he's evolved to be like the new type of humanity.
And then he leads them to the island.
Right, so
using,
Kevin Costner leads them.
Yeah, using her back tattoo.
Right. Bitch got a tramp stamp to tell you where the promised land is.
But he
Hey, I'm trying to find a promised land. It's on your kid's tramp stamp.
But he can't stay because he's too wild. But...
Because I fell asleep. You have to enlighten me.
Okay, so they get to the island and they figure out that the little girl was born there and that she's returned, you know, to her homeland or whatever. And they made it, and then Kevin's like, I gotta bounce because I'm still, like, part of the sea. And it alludes to maybe there's a fish baby in her belly.
It's how evolution works, man.
Yeah.
Evolution is... if you were ever wondering what's the term? What's Goober's term for the jump in the species? If you're looking for the missing link in punctuated equilibrium, it's actually Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
That's it. Kevin Costner is the punctuated equilibrium missing link. And he's just trying to put a fish bun in the oven. That's it. That's all he's trying to do. And then run off. He's a dang baby daddy.
I know.
He's an absentee baby daddy.
He's a dead fish dad.
He's a deadbeat. He's a deadbeat He's a deadbeat cod.
Anyways.
Kevin Costner.
That was what it
Kevin
was.
Costner.
And the funny thing about it is they spent so much money on the set to make this little town in Waterworld that they didn't know what to do with it afterwards, so they made it an attraction at Universal
One of the
Studios.
Universal, yeah.
So you can go see the Waterworld
This
live
still
action.
exists? You've seen it?
Oh yeah, I
Wow.
don't know if it's still there, but when I worked there,
Oh my gosh.
you could watch it.
Imagine trying to recoup your loss
There
from
was-
this flop with with making Waterworld into a live action thing at Universal Studios. Oh, we'll recoup our losses in about 50 years.
There's so much explosions and pyrotechnics in the movie. They tried to put that.
They
in
try
the
to
live
put that in
action,
the live action movie.
and it's really hot. Like if you go to that show, you feel the fire, man.
Some cooked Kevin Costner fish.
Mm-hmm.
Fish and Costner. So let's see if it's still water. What was it called? Do you remember?
Pay fishy. What?
Waterworld at Universal Studios.
Yeah.
It was still there 6 years ago. So they're probably still
2018. Yeah.
it's there 3 years ago at least. So they're still trying to recoup the losses from this dumbass movie. All the way up to a month ago. Here's somebody a month ago. Look at that. It actually, Jamie's right. It's the actual set, and they're trying to still recoup their losses for this garbage flop of a movie. And this is that Liam Neeson speaking? Whose voice is that? Sounds like Liam Neeson.
I can't tell.
So how long ago was this movie? That's pretty
95.
ridiculous, dude.
1995.
And this is still an attraction. Wow. I'm looking to see how much money they put into it and how much it made. Maybe it made money. Actually, it did. They made money with this. So it was a critical flop, but it actually did make money. So cost $175 million and made 264. So I guess he snuck by on that one by the skin of his gills,
No,
by the scales of his fins. To what?
Was Postman before this or after?
After 1997.
Oh man.
Now that one I'm pretty sure was like a total flop. Let's see. Yes. Postman cost $80 million and made 20. So I'm sure whatever studios made this was not happy with that. If you in the 90s, if you had a couple of those, you were done. Like once Kevin Costner and Val Kilmer had a couple blockbuster flops like that they put a whole bunch of. Then it's like, okay, you have a toxic stink about you, and we can't have you in our next blockbuster. You
smell like a damn dirty ape.
Exactly.
Your flops are flopping.
What's up next?
Planet of the Apes.
You damn dirty apes.
1968.
1960 ape.
That's good. The year is 3978.
It's that monkeypox.
So, Charlton Heston is going into space, right?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed this a little more than I expected because there was a little more philosophy in it than I remembered. I hadn't seen this in probably 15 years. So it was fun to go back and watch Planet of the Apes. And this is the year 3978. Dang, dude.
Well, he gets shot into space
right.
in 1972.
And they're looking for a planet to expand for like Noah's Ark, right?
Yeah. So they're 6 months in deep space.
Right.
He's wakes up and he thinks it's 2673.
Right.
But it's actually 3978.
Right.
And the timey-wimey stuff is pretty confusing. But so he's an astronaut, and this movie has the Darwinian philosophy of time, right? The aeons of time and evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And then his ship goes back down and crashes on supposedly an alien planet.
Right. And he thinks it's some way far away, Pleiadian civilization.
Yeah. So they think they're exploring a new world.
Right.
And
new world.
One of the people died in the pod. Mm-hmm. And was it a girl maybe?
Yeah, one of the girls dies.
Okay, so they're pretty much screwed because they're all guys now. Right?
Yes, there's 3 dudes that make it, and they're one. Which, by the way, were they gonna repopulate 3 dudes and 1 chick? I mean, what? I just realized that. Wait a minute. I'm not sure I want to be a part of this. Why did they bring 2 more girls? I mean, wait a minute.
And they think they're near Orion.
Yeah,
is what their trajectory was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then his laugh. That's a meme. I love that scene. He's like, remember it?
Mm-hmm. I can't do it, but I can. No, I can do. I don't know his laugh. I can do his voice. I don't know the laugh.
It's just that big grin.
I can't do it. Do Charlton Heston's grin.
There is some naked waterfall scenes when the guys are like swimming in the waterfall.
I mean, that's me and all my guy buddies. We just immediately strip down and go swimming in waterfalls. I mean, it's a guy rule. Do you know that?
So
didn't you know that?
You just strip.
All men, if they see a waterfall, our panties drop. We drop them panties, dude.
Wow.
We drop our whitey tighties. I'm joking. I've never been skinny dipping in my life. I never plan to go skinny dipping. Not that I'm embarrassed. It's weird going skinny dip. Like.
So they're the naked apes in the jungle in the beginning.
Right. Everybody knows that. The humans are the apes, and they're in ape civilization.
Yeah. And then you have the lady that comes, Cave Kardashian, and the feral people. Right?
It's not Val Kilmer and the Postman. It's another Kevin Costner movie to the audience. Say that again. I'm sorry.
Cave Kardashian.
Cave Kardashian. Which one is that?
The feral lady.
That was my joke. I was explicitly remember that.
I just write them down, babe.
Okay, you're writing down my joke.
I will put a star every time you.
But who was Cave Kardashian? Which one?
The girl that gets captured with them that he starts.
Oh, the one that the primitive girl, cave girl.
Yeah.
Yes. So Charlton Heston develops a thing for cave girl or Cave Kardashian because she looks like she would be a Kardashian.
And then they get captured by the apes, right?
An ape civilization is primitive, so it's like medieval human civilization.
Yeah,
and they
still ride horses and stuff like that. So they're in their Renaissance period type.
And they have a couple who are the scientists, and they're doing science.
And they're doing medical science on the humans, like we would do on monkeys.
Like we would do on apes, and they test things on them, and but they're compassionate, right? Because scientists are all good people. But the ape society is run by the pape, the Pope ape, the pape. The apicy, right?
Oh.
It's the apicy.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. So the Apacy runs this as a cult, and you're not allowed to challenge the laws of the grape ape or whoever it is that gave them the laws.
The feral people can't talk, and they have no.
Right. They don't know how to talk. They're dumb.
Yeah.
They're basically. They're cave boys. They're
They're-
slow. They're slow boys.
They're pests to the apes. They don't see them as people.
But the science people believe that there's an ancient civilization of humans. Remember, that's their theory, because they do archaeology and they've excavated up in the hills. Remember, the doll. They find the old human civilization, but the Pope ape, the Pape, he doesn't want any of that truth to come out, and we find out at the end that he knew that all along. Because he wants to control the society with his apacy religion.
It's a scientism movie versus religion.
It is, correct. But there is one interesting twist, which we point out when we get into epistemology. If you watch my epistemology talk, I pointed out how, just like Mark in C.S. Lewis's story, the Pope ape, the Pape, is a perfect example of why you can't just give people evidences, right? Because throughout the film, he's presented evidences constantly, which go against his presuppositions, which go against his narrative. So it's not a problem of evidence. He's actually suppressing the evidences, you see.
They paint the scientists like they're just taking in data and finding the truth, and then the religious.
It's a scientism movie. So in that regard, it's wrong. But what I'm saying is that the approach of the Pape, the Pope ape, is illustrative of the same principle of why foundationalism is wrong in epistemology, because you can't just give people the data. Data always has to be in a context. It's theory laden. And by the end of the movie, you find out that the problem was never a lack of evidences. The problem was that the Pope ape, the Pape, intentionally wanted to suppress the truth from coming out. And that's perfectly illustrative of the point of tag and presuppositionalism, and why classical foundationalism doesn't work, and why there's no neutrality.
So they think he's the missing link because he could talk.
Charlton Heston's the missing link.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
they make him the missing link.
They bring him
Right.
before the Pape Cornelius.
Right.
And like
He sentenced him to
said,
death.
Yeah. And then they stuffed his friend.
They stuffed him?
Yeah.
The other human.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he leads a revolution, and then him and the girl get away, and then they kidnap Cornelius eventually, who's chasing them, and they take him up to the cave, and they definitively prove that there was an ancient human civilization, right?
What are their sacred scrolls? What was that? Remember?
Just the made-up monkey religion.
Oh, it's just superstitious stuff.
Well, it's a control mechanism, because the apacy controls the society by limiting the scientists and what they can do. And they tell the scientists what you can and can't do by divine law. Do you understand?
So they interpret the evidence according to the paradigm that they interpret the evidence they get. And he's a threat to their system.
Right.
And then there's the forbidden zone, because that's where the evidence of history is.
Yeah, you can't go there, because if you went to the forbidden zone, you'd realize that the religion is false.
Right. Oh, do you remember there was like a hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil?
The monkeys did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird. But
they want to castrate and lobotomize him. And then the animal rights activists want to save him from the scientists. Remember that part?
no, the animal rights activists are the scientists.
Well, no, they team up.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then they escape to the forbidden zone.
Right.
Proteus in the scrolls.
Proteus is the deity. He's like the archetype ape, the grape ape.
Oh. And their scrolls say man is the harbinger of death.
Right. So the monkeys know from way, way, way back that humans used to subjugate monkeys.
That, and there's some kind of nuclear war. The bomb.
Right. The bomb comes up in part 2 where they worship it. It's called the Bomb Almighty.
Okay. So that's what destroyed everything and then set in
Right.
motion
Man's
this
technology.
evolutionary thing.
Right. Man's technology destroyed human civilization. Humans devolved and monkeys evolved.
Right. And then, spoilers, like, they find the Statue of Liberty.
Right. So,
and he's been on Earth all along.
right. So, Charlton Heston realizes that it's Old Lady Liberty, which shows him that he was never on another planet, and he's on Earth in the year 3978.
Right.
And so, he debunks. He does a big debunking of the apacy. We need to get Charlton Heston to come do some apologetics. The papacy is just like the apacy.
He's a Promethean character.
Yes, kind of, yeah. He's in part 2 as well, which we need to watch because, oddly enough, part 2 has a cult that worships the nuclear bomb. And they have a liturgy. It's really weird. It's actually kind of interesting. And they call it the Bomb Almighty, and they sing a song to it. They have a choir. And it brings in this other group of humans who are the mutants that have been mutated by the radiation. So there's actually humans, apes, and mutants all fighting.
Okay.
I don't think I've even seen the other one. So that goes into like 5 different B movies, Planet of the Apes B movies. But Charlton Heston is in the second one. So, and then it turns into just B movies after that. But it's a lot of fun if you're looking for an illustrative analysis for epistemology. You can use Cornelius and his suppressing the truth despite every evidence to the contrary. All right, what's up next? Last one before we go to super chats. By the way, I want to remind you guys that did a live stream today over on Rockfin covering current events. Gil Bates covering Davos, update on that, what they're up to there. So there's the link over at Rockfin, which is exclusive to Rockfin. Also, if you want to get my books, you get signed copies at the website, link in the show description. Jamie's books are there as well, all signed copies. Right? Mm-hmm. You enjoy signing them?
Oh, yeah.
So we enjoy signing those. And what's our last movie?
Time Machine.
Time Machine. H.G. Wells' Time Machine. Jamie had never seen the old one, so I made her. She wanted to watch that terrible, like, year 2000 one. I was like, no, you can't watch that. You got to watch the 1960s one. That's actually pretty good.
1960 movie.
Yeah.
Well, it's based on the book written in 1895. Yes. So that's pretty old.
So before I wrote my book, I read H.G. Wells' book and watched the old movie to write my chapter on this, because as everybody knows, H.G. Wells, come on, we've analyzed and covered H.G. Wells for you guys a zillion times in the last 10 years. So we all know about H.G. Wells. I'm not going to rehearse H.G. Wells himself. We're going to get into this story, which is interesting in various ways, because there's a couple things that you wouldn't expect H.G. Wells to throw in there, like higher dimensions. I would have thought, well, H.G. Wells is like a materialist, so it's odd that he thinks that there's a dimension above the material, which is like the next dimension.
Time.
Yeah.
It's the 4th dimension.
Well, but he makes it an immaterial thing that you can somehow tap into to travel, because that's what in the
if you go outside the 3 dimensions, you're in the time where it just you can go back and forward.
But in the book, it's like a dimension above matter,
right?
Which is odd, given that I thought he was a materialist.
So this is set in.
Let me put it this way. In the book, in the first couple chapters, they have a really philosophical exchange where they start getting into things like higher dimensions. And I think they even talk about something like a tesseract. I can't remember if it mentions the tesseract. I've got the book over there on the shelf, but it's not what I expected from H.G. Wells. I'll put it that way. But maybe H.G. Wells wasn't completely consistent. Maybe he toyed with the idea of higher immaterial dimensions. I don't know.
Well, this is set in pocket watch times.
So is it set in the 1890s?
1899.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Party like it's 1899.
1899. He bursts into this party all disheveled, looking like a shipwrecked sailor or something.
I'm trying to remember that guy's name because he was a famous 50s actor guy.
And
do you remember him? He's in a lot of...
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, though.
He's in a lot of 50s movies.
So all his friends are gathered, and he shows up like he's just been, to the end of time and back. And he's explaining to them the story of what happened. Mm-hmm. And they go back a little bit where he starts talking about his
Rod Taylor. Rod Taylor's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they have this little friend group, science men or whatever.
He's the guy in the birds. That's what I can think of.
Oh, okay.
Right. So he's meeting with his fellow professors to try to explain the logistics of his time machine.
Yeah. So they're talking about the fourth dimension, and
Right.
he brings out his little mini time machine model. And
Which
he
you
like,
said was cute.
but it was so dumb because he takes the guy's cigar and breaks it and puts it in the chair like we don't know how a chair works.
Yeah,
He's
right.
like, you would go here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so
I thought I went under the. It looks like a pimped out Santa sled.
yeah,
The time machine is a pimped out Santa sled.
it totally is.
It's like
But he talks about depopulation by war.
right. Who H.G. Wells was a huge Depop advocate.
Yeah. And so he decides he wants to build this time machine,
Right.
and he does it, and he gets in it,
And he's gonna have to test on himself, right?
it's a smooth
Didn't
ride.
he tested on a puppy dog, didn't he? His dog. He put his dog in there first and sent him to the future in the back.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah, you did because you were talking about he's cute.
I don't remember it. So first stop,
Why not send a rat? Like, why would you send your pet dog into
he
the
didn't
future?
have a rat, and he couldn't wait.
How long did he take in the process of building the thing? Go get a rat.
Oh yeah. So the time machine, first stop, World War One. Remember?
Vaguely.
And he sees like his buddy's son. He figures out his buddy got killed in the war,
Okay. Yeah.
and he thinks he's talking to his buddy, but it's actually his son.
Oh. Okay.
And then he gets back in the time machine. He's like, "Oh, that's terrible. I'm gonna go farther in the future." And next stop, World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And the bombs are falling,
Mm-hmm.
right? And everybody looks spacey.
Well, we don't know that it's
Or-
World War II.
Oh no, that's the third nuclear war.
Right. So the movie. So remember, the movie was made in 1960, but the book was written right at the turn of the century.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the book does talk about future atomic bombs and nuclear bombs, which is odd because, right, again, H.G. Wells very ahead of his time in making up this thing. Just like going to the moon, H.G. Wells has a book, Men on the Moon. So, again, big role for psyops here with your boy H.G.
Mm-hmm. So World War One, World War Two in there, and then World War Three, 1966. It says atomic satellites and like volcanoes are erupting in London for some reason.
Because of the nukes going off.
Oh, okay. So he's trying to get out of there. He barely makes it, and
By the way, in the book, this is all in the book, and I even made notes. There's sections where he says in the future civilization they got rid of the family. He puts his communist utopia stuff in the novel.
oh, okay.
Like they get rid of it. He talks about being the future is feminist, the future is like vegetarian,
Yeah.
and the future is egalitarian, and it's a utopia, and there's no family. But then the further you go, that degenerates, and the human race degenerates and splits into two different species, which is actually an old Royal Society plan. It's still on the BBC. You can look it up. The BBC has that article from like 15 years ago about how the human race is evolving into two separate species, Eloy and Morlock. They even mentioned that in the BBC article, but that's reflecting the Royal Society view, which H.G. Wells was a proponent of that view.
So he lands in the super future, 802701.
Didn't he land there by accident though?
Well, he was fleeing the nuclear war, and so
Marty,
he got stuck in a cave
Doc,
because the
Marty and Doc.
Oh yeah,
That's what happens with the DeLorean.
yeah.
1.21 gigawatts.
Well, we're going. We don't need.
Yeah, but they
roads.
but the time machine messes up in that.
Yeah.
That's a nod to this.
Well, time machine always messes up.
Right.
That's how the adventure starts.
Even Napoleon Dynamite's time machine.
That's-
Turn it off, turn it off.
That's the axiom of time travel. Your machine is going to mess up.
Well, if you forget the crystals, it'll mess up. Get it?
Yep.
What's that
The
from?
dilithium crystals?
No.
Oh.
She doesn't listen when I... Napoleon Dynamite.
Gigawatts. Oh.
Napoleon Dynamite's time machine. It didn't have the crystals.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't work. It's a piece of crap. You forgot the crystals, Napoleon.
I like some shots are models and drawings.
Mm-hmm.
Like
This does have some interesting models in it.
yeah.
Now, in the book, by the way, when he goes to the future, he finds there's artist renderings of like ape men in like giant heads, and they look like Piltdown Man and Nebraska Man, which is odd because those are like scams. Piltdown Man, Nebraska Man, those are all fake, right? And those were fakes to promote the idea of the transitional fossils, the transitional phases. Do you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. They're in the book though. There's like a giant, I don't know who did the art, but I put it in my book. Like there's I don't have part 1.
Well, in the future, the people are super docile. Just like Planet of the Apes.
Well, they evolve into that because of their diet and their utopian society that eventually collapses.
Well, it's weird because they're childlike and no emotion. And they would let someone drown. So he shows up just as someone is like drowning in the river and no one's trying to help her.
I'm wrong. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't think it's a sphinx. Is a similar society. I'm getting mixed up with a different image in my book. So that's from the book. It's a sphinx.
That looks like Temple of the 33rd.
Exactly. And H.G. Wells was a high-level Mason. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. I was thinking of, in that chapter, there's a picture of Piltdown Man and Nebraska Man, but that was something that I put in there. But that's what I'm thinking of. It's when he gets to the future, the society of the Eloi, if I recall, is a gigantic Masonic sphinx. So the Freemasons set up their Luciferian utopia. And it says, then there is the future, said the very young man. Just think, one might invest all of one's money, leave it, accumulate interest, and hurry up ahead. To discover society, said I, erect on a strictly communistic basis. So the future that he's talking about, that has the Masonic Sphinx as its temple symbol, is the future communist utopia in the year 802,701. But they're being attacked by the cannibalistic Morlocks who live underground, who have devolved.
Mm-hmm. So it's weird because the Morlocks, when they put the sirens on, all the people march to the Morlock compound.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were conditioned to go underground every time they heard the air raid sirens.
Mm-hmm.
So they just instinctively do
Right.
that. And once they have enough people to eat, they close the doors.
Mm-hmm.
And then the childlike people go back to whatever they were doing.
Right.
And the Morlocks feed them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So they keep them like cattle, and they're so docile.
I was going from memory. Maybe it's the Temple of the Morlock Society.
It said that on the picture.
Yeah, but I wrote that.
Oh.
I'm the one that put the caption of the picture.
So the Morlocks have the underground temple, and that's the door to it. And when the air raids go off, the people march into the door.
Right, but the reason that they do that is because this was set up in the utopia. But they go in there because the Morlocks are the ones that have devolved from radiation and whatnot to not be to be cannibalistic and eat meat.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that it wasn't low IQ Morlocks that built this. It was a different civilization
Oh, they
that had
just
fallen.
used that.
Yes.
Okay.
So I called it the Morlock Sphinx because in the future the Morlocks take it over. But it wasn't a bunch of low IQ Morlocks that built a temple in a utopia. So this is my book, dude in the chat trying to call me out. I wrote this. So I'm the one that wrote the note 7 years ago. So I'm sorry that I don't remember every footnote from 7 years ago.
So the world ran out of oxygen at some point?
Yes, I don't remember that.
Um,
I read this book 8 years ago and wrote a chapter on it 7 years ago. So I'm sorry, you will forget things when you read, especially after you read thousands of books. So
how did you like the whip fight at the end? When he
With the Morlocks?
Yeah, he has to save his girlfriend
Right.
from the Morlocks.
I don't remember the whip fight. I think I fell asleep in this one too, but I've seen it many times. I felt like I've written on it. I don't have to watch it again, but
So
what does he do?
He's a Prometheus too because
Yes, he is.
they don't have fire.
Oh, he gets light, and that's what he
Yeah.
beats him with. It's
so
the fire.
he whips them and he
Promethean
sets the
fire.
fires,
Right.
and then the fires burn the underground
Right.
Morlock compound. And then
Does he take her back? What happens with her?
he goes back. I don't remember what happened to her. I think she
he
had to
just
stay
disses
there.
her.
Well, yeah, I don't.
Well, I guess he could go there at any point. He has a time machine.
Yeah.
Or does it break at the end? I don't remember.
No, he gets back to tell the tale to his colleagues of his.
Yeah, but does his
adventure.
time machine break, or can he use it at any
No.
time?
I guess he can use it.
Well, he went all the way to the future to rescue her and spit game, and he's gonna leave her there.
I don't remember if she went with him or not.
Okay. I guess we'll have to go to the year 802,000 and find out.
Yeah. That's Time Machine.
Thank you. Let's go to. It's okay, Hacker Man. You can debunk me. There was people trying to debunk me a month ago about a footnote. You messed up on a footnote. Debunk him. Guys, look. If you want to not be a debunker, you want to get Chalk.com. Chalk.com is the easiest way to not be a soy man debunker. Sometimes it's necessary to debunk, but not always. Most of the time it's not. Most of the time you should work on yourself. Trying to debunk everybody, go fix yourself. The easiest way to start fixing yourself is, number one, change your diet. Number two, start working out, exercising in some way. And number three, to supplement with Chalk.com. Chalk.com is the organic, most beige, most red pill company out there when it comes to supplementing your diet with highly preeminent, prominent adaptogens from the rainforest, cold pressed, 100% supremely filtered when it comes to purity and potency. I highly recommend heading over to Chalk.com right now. That's CHOQ.com. The link is in the show description. And as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of, number one, the daily, which is good for supplementation on a daily basis. And number two, the Tonkat Ali, which is a big time testosterone booster. So if you want to debunk, or do you want to boost testosterone? Yeah, you want to be a booster, not a debunker. Right, so get that Tonkat Ali, get the daily. You can also get things like the Shilajit. Now, Jamie's been taking Shilajit, and also she's got something in her glass right now, which she's taken, and she loves this.
This is so good. Remember when you were a kid and you would drink like Swiss Miss cocoa chocolate milk? This is so much better than that, and it's not gross Nestle. It tastes just
It's
like
a superfood.
cocoa. Yeah, there it is.
Chocolate.
It's really good. I drink it.
This is
like
what she's been drinking.
almost
See it
every
right there?
night as like a little treat.
Right.
My little evening
I mean,
treat.
you don't deserve treats, but you do it anyway.
Instead of candy or something, I'll just have a cup of this, and it's really good.
She loves it.
Yeah.
So you can get, that's a new product they have now, the chocolate. You can get lit in a healthy way with chocolate. You can also supplement in all the other ways, as I was saying, with Shilajit. Jamie takes Shilajit every day as well, which helps with balancing mood, hormone, all the things that the women have with the moon cycles and all this stuff. I don't know anything about that.
I noticed I can get a lot more reading done when I take the Irish moss and the Shilajit.
You read 2 books this week. It's pretty crazy.
Usually about after 2 chapters I want to take a nap, but I haven't had a nap in a long time.
Yeah.
So
get that Action 2.0, get the Shilajit. There are stacks over there for women and for men. You can set up recurring subscription as well, so you don't have to every month go and type all this back in. You can use the promo code J53Life, which will give you a 53% discount on the recurring subscription for the supplements that you want that fit you, or use the promo code J50 to get 50% off just one order. So you can do it either way, but I recommend doing the recurring because you're going to like it and you're going to want to keep getting it, but you don't want to have to keep ordering it every month, right? So kind of like Amazon has that set up. And again, I mean, their whole thing is purity and potency obsession. So I know those guys pretty good now. They scour the globe for this stuff, right? So they work really hard to find the best products. They take it very, very serious. They're into what works. It's non-GMO. There's no soy additives or anything weird like that. It's all about optimizing your health. So I highly recommend getting over there. Utilize the promo codes. You have to use the promo codes or you won't get any. Why would you not want 50% off, right? And remember, guys, they're pushing legislation right now, which I showed you a couple streams back, where we may not be able to sell supplements over the internet. So they want to clamp down on everything. Everything's got to be clamped down. But if you're looking for again, rainforest sourced adaptogen to help supplement, given the fact that our diets, our meals are nutrient deficient, get over to choq.com, choq.com. Utilize the promo code J53Life, J53Life, J50 for just a straight up 50% discount. You will not be disappointed, I guarantee it. Also, remind you guys to sign up over on Rockfin. Also, in part 2 of this, what are we doing in part 2? Wally, which
Idiocracy.
do you remember the years?
No.
Okay, so there's Dune. Dune is the last because it's the year 10191. Although the year 800, we didn't do this one in order. So we're doing it chronologically, but not in order, which doesn't make sense. But
each clump is
right.
chronological, but not exactly the way we do them.
So in part 2 of this show is Brave New World, Wally, Dune, and one more. Idiocracy. That's right. Get that upgrade. Y'all gonna get that upgrade over at the subscription. Get an upgrade on Rockfin, and you get access to everybody over there. Tons and tons. They're adding new creators every day. By the way, we think there might be some new ones.
Everybody check out my and Kristen's show.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Your show.
YouTube. It's called Out of This World, and you can search it. Just search my name, Jamie Hanshaw, on YouTube, and we're about 10 or 11 episodes in, and we're having a rockin' good time. And I think the content is fire, and we're really fun and
fire,
informative.
Yeah. So here's the link. Here's the link for everybody in the chat. You can subscribe to Jamie's podcast, Out of This World. Looks like you guys have done Conspiracy Theory Game Edition. You guys have done Gut Health. You guys have done light treatments, light health, getting the right amount of light. You've done Doctrines of Aliens from Hell. You've done the Book of Enoch, Disney's Dark Secret, Top 10 Evil Science Experiments. That's a great one. So yeah, you guys are 10 episodes in? 9?
10 or 11. I'm not
okay.
Sure.
So there's Jamie's podcast. Be sure and go over there and subscribe to her. She just passed 3,000. Shout out to over 3,000 subs. Good job. And let's get to some of these super chats, which I'm going to be reading from last week when I got the headache and I couldn't keep going. You want to read this first one for $5?
Okay. Zeph, it is a serious offense for me as Orthodox to attend secular weddings of close friends. Is it? Of close friends and family. To what degree would participation be acceptable? I know St. John Chrysostom writes about not attending frivolous weddings on marriage and family life.
Yeah, these are the kinds of questions that you would take to your spiritual father. So I don't give advice on personal matters like that. There are some lines that we can't cross when it comes to praying with or participating in religious services overtly, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't attend. So you would just get permission from your priest or spiritual father.
Anonymous $3.
No, Palantir.
Oh. Palantir $3. Jay, I have a super deep hypothetical question for you. If you had to be a student in a class taught by one of these three as a professor, who would you choose and why? Benny Hinn, David Icke, or Stephen Quayle? Thanks for today's talk.
I don't think I want to be with the cheetah Uri. Human nature and the cheetah Uri make me say, I want to be in a class with Steve Quayle because the Nephilim are opening up the portals right now. That's why.
Can you do Benny Hinn?
No, but wasn't that a good Steve Quayle?
Yeah.
Do you even know who Steve Quayle is?
He talks about aliens and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think David Icke's the most interesting of that. I don't know.
Okay. Number anonymous.
Can you clarify what Jesus means when he says that we need to love, pray, bless, and do good to our enemies and to evil people. Does that justify Christian pacifism? Should we not punish and avenge crimes and wicked actions? Should we not fight against evil?
Right. So the reconciliation is that the Bible teaches both, but it's not the job for you in terms of personal vengeance. So you have a right to defend your house, your family, your possessions, but you don't have a right to exact personal vengeance. But in cases where it's necessary, yes, you can seek redress through legal means. Judges and people in authority are put there in divine providence, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it's not a one size fits all. So it's a case by case basis, and the totality of scriptures is what tells us that, not just one verse. So no, we're not pacifists. That's ridiculous. Romans 13 is clear that we're not pacifists. Go ahead.
Me and my dog appreciate $5. Yes, me and my dog actually appreciate you. We listen every time we have the chance. I wanted to know if there's anything about the Orthodox faith that you have had trouble accepting. Can you elaborate for the sake of this super hat?
Super chat.
It says super hat.
They meant super chat. It's not. There's no. This is a super hat, but they meant super chat.
Okay.
I think everybody's going to have questions that they struggle with, and you will always have things you struggle with and have questions. I just think at a certain point you kind of are far more convinced that it's right than will outweigh any of the doubts or unclear things, and there's always going to be those. So
I think the hardest thing about it is actually finding a parish close
sometimes
to you.
in our day that's a problem,
Because
that was a problem for me for a long time.
Yeah.
But very good question.
Disgruntled docs, $5. Should converts coming from the Roman Catholic Church be baptized or just chrismated?
Probably the safest route is to be baptized, because nowadays it's so unclear what was being taught and whether they were using even the right Trinitarian form even. So economia can be stretched too far, but there's no hard and fast rule that I can tell you. So you need to go to higher authorities than me.
Rom, $10 and blank.
Thank you, Rom.
Andrew Dunnett, $5. Keep it up and thank Jesus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Nico the Great, $1. Love the content, Jay. I watched your debate with Uniate Luke Davin yesterday, and I got a really good laugh out of it. Lol, keep up the good work, bro.
Forgot about that one. That didn't really end up being a debate, but that's an old school meltdown one there. Yeah, thank you for that.
Steven, $5. Thanks, Jay. Good information as usual.
Thank you, dude.
BMX 1966, $10. Awesome, Jay. Thanks.
Thank you, dude.
Panos, $2. This particular rap star is an unfit mother. Brought to you by Carl Jr.
Get that upgrade.
Oh yeah, that's Idiocracy.
That's a good one, Pano.
That's an interesting thing in Idiocracy. The corporations can take away your kids.
Right. Wow. Good point. Now you have that in your notes for Idiocracy. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. So remember, that'll be in part 2, which will be for subscribers. If you want access to part 2, you're going to head to my website and become a member. $4.95 a month, $60 a year. It's also will be available on Rockfin eventually as well.
Malin Keisner, $20. Have you guys ever done an analysis of the True Detective season 1? Are you fans of the show at all?
Absolutely. And in fact, I did a long essay analysis of True Detective season 1, a long essay analysis of True Detective season 2, and it was one of my first experiments in podcasts, which I think will come up. Let's see. Yes. So I think this is it. I didn't really know what I was doing, so I was really just trying to figure it out in 2015. So here is seasons 1 and 2 esoteric analysis with my piss poor, too quiet, rambling speaking analysis. So here you go. There is my analysis of True Detective season 1. It's probably really cringe to listen to now, but yes, there it is. And also, if you go to my website and type it in, you'll find the essays I wrote. So I didn't do season 3. I didn't think it was very good. I I liked 1 a lot. Obviously, 1's the best. Everybody hates on 2. I actually thought 2 was pretty good because it was very insightful in terms of California corruption. So I liked season 2 in various ways. But whatever. A lot of people don't like season 2. By the way, season 2's got like Bohemian Grove and her getting with all these women that are being trafficked. It's like Epstein stuff. Remember that?
I don't.
You never seen season 2?
I don't remember it.
Okay. There's a really crazy scene where they play the Wizard of Oz song when she's drugged in the mansion with the elites.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Rachel McAdams is drugged and she's a cop and she infiltrates the Eyes Wide Shut mansion and she gets drugged and they play that song. It's pretty crazy.
Okay. Nano Nerd 391.
Speak up into the mic.
In many dystopian movies, the plot is man on the run, action story where the hero overcomes the state and society. How would this work in real life? Any realistic books on this theme? Great show.
No, I think the whole idea that one man against the world, right, is unrealistic. You can't beat this stuff as one dude.
That's a false messiah narrative.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Because one man already saved the world. And so
right, only Christ, only the church, only that can really get you out of this stuff.
Yeah. And it usually ends up being Promethean.
Exactly.
Because he's connected to like freeing the slaves and fire.
Well, a lot of the dystopian stories are influenced by Enlightenment philosophy. So it's like revolutionary libertarianism. Like Ayn Rand's dystopian story that she has is that this one with him with the Promethean fire is that. Logan's Run is that. Fahrenheit 451 is that.
Nano Nerd 391. What do you think makes a good anthology movie?
THX is that too, by the way.
In terms of a frame narrative wherein several stories take place. Example, heavy metal, VHS, Trick or Treat. Will you analyze these things?
Ooh, I don't know.
I kind of like...
There's a really good one with Patrick Swayze that's really good that everybody overlooks. I think it's called 1114. Does anybody remember this? That is a brilliant way. It's about time, and it's a brilliant way. That's it. The way they tie in everybody's story to a specific point in time. So if you've never seen this from 2003, I highly recommend this movie.
I thought Crash was a good movie like that. Do you remember
yes, it is. I forgot about Crash. But if you want a more indie thing, not a big, like, isn't Crash, like, who's in that? Catherine Zeta-Jones? No. It's been forever since I watched it.
Matt Dillon?
Anyway, I can't remember Crash. I've seen it, but that one's funner. It's a cooler indie thing. 1114.
Remember Cat's Eye? That's kind of like that. Stephen King movie with the monkey.
But that's a shit movie. The movie is no good. I mean, there's not many good there's a horror movie.
Tales from the Crypt are like that.
Right, but that's not any good. Southward Bound, that horror movie, remember? That's for horror stories to tie in.
Oh,
that one's good. That one's
Southland Tales?
No.
No. Okay.
That's Richard Kelly that did Donnie Darko's last movie.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Super Chats.
Pay.
I don't know.
Vegan Art, $20. Thank you
Kogan.
for your efforts, sir.
$20. Thank you, Kogan. Much appreciated.
JMel 30.
Long time Super Chatter JML. What's up?
What was the symbology of the Peter Ustinov character in Logan's Run? It was a great movie. Who's Peter Ustinov? The friend?
I'm trying to remember.
The old guy?
His friend is Duncan from Dune.
Oh, he's the old coot.
That's the old coot. I think he just represents the old generation, the last living person who can remember things, because he says, "Oh, I remember my mom and my dad." Yes. So he's the last person that remembers, because nobody in the city knows about mom and dad and natural birth.
Because they're not born.
Right, and natural birth. So he just recognizes the old civilization, the old way of doing things.
And he doesn't have a crystal in his hand.
Right, because he grew up in the ruins.
Yeah.
But great question, J-Mel. How much? $5.
How much would it take for you two to do an analysis of Netflix show Dark? If there's possibly at all, I'll chip in. The main premise is the characters are not free in what they do because they're not free in what they want. Private. Oh.
I watched season 1 of Dark, and it was interesting. Once I have a personal thing where I get annoyed by time travel things, so it was starting to turn into a time travel thing, and that annoys me. I'm not totally opposed to time travel movies, even though because we just did one. I like Terminator, I guess, Back to the Future, but I kind of hate time travel movies overall. So that's why I didn't continue into season 2 of Dark, but I did like season 1. It's pretty wild. Do you remember it? You've never seen it. You've never seen it. But I'm not sure what you mean about how much would it take. Like, you send me a Bic. If you send me a Bic one, how you know it's a he? I mean, it could be a. How dare you assume that's a he?
Oh, that's true.
It just says how much.
They want to sponsor a show, so we
they
have to
they then
out
wants to sponsor.
What?
$1 million or a Bitcoin.
No.
One Bitcoin, I'll do it.
What else?
Right here.
Frankie D, $5. Jay, we all know you are sending a secret Nigerian intelligence message with your red and blue false dialectic esoteric background.
Yes.
We know you are trying to steal all the chalk spice melange for yourself and the Nigerian government. Tomcat is made from spice.
Correct. The spice must flow. And we will do Dune in part 2. Now, I'm a big fan of Dune, so no, I haven't read all of that nerdy series. I've read the first one. That's all I care to read. I'm a big fan of the David Lynch version. I like the new Denis Villeneuve version, so I will be prepared to talk about all 3. Now, which ones do you like? You haven't read the book. So do you like the David Lynch, Kyle MacLachlan Sting in his underwear Dune, or do you like the new Dune with the young dude? I don't know his name.
Timothy Chalamet.
Okay.
And Zendaya.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the most recent one was really cool and more Dune-y. But the one with Mary Sean Young, I don't know.
Well, you're friends with Mary Sean Young.
I like that.
She's friends with Mary Sean Young, who's Chani. In Dune, in the David Lynch Dune.
I really like that one, and I like how gross they made the Emperor. Mm-hmm. Like, they really made him...
The Baron.
Yeah. Like, super repulsive. They did a good job with him. They did a good job with Mary Sean Young and the Worm. Yeah, I guess that one.
Is by will alone I set my mind in is by will alone I set my mind in motion. By the juice set food, the thoughts acquire speed, lips acquire saying, sayings come morning. Is by will alone I set my mind in motion.
Is that what he says when he has a hand in the box?
No, that's the Gom Jabbar.
Oh. Okay.
Put your head in the box. No, the Mentats have a religion that makes their lips stained in purple, and they drink the juice of Sappho, and they have to recite their prayer before they drink the juice, and they say, "It is by will alone I set my mind in motion. It is by the juice of Sappho that the lips acquire." The thoughts acquire speed, lips acquire stains, the stains become a warning. It's by will alone I set my mind in motion.
Okay.
I'm good at, I remember these things.
Dune prayers.
Hey, I know, the Orthodox liturgy prayers. I know the Mentat prayers. I'm just joking. Everybody knows that, though. We used to laugh about that. It's by will alone I set my mind. Because that guy acts really weird when he does it, when he drinks his juice, and it, gives him a high. But... yes, a lot of fascinating things in Dune that we'll have a fun time covering here. Right here.
I thought the music in the new one was really good.
It was, I bought the soundtrack.
Made you feel like you're in sci-fi space.
Yeah.
There's one more.
In a good way. Pano.
Jamie, look up Time Machine with Michael J. Fox. Part of the promotional material for Back to the Future was an homage to 1960 Time Machine. Cool stuff. Okay.
I did not, it makes sense, but I did not know that. But that's, when you think about the time machine breaking, exactly. Is by will alone I set my mind in motion. Is by the juice of food, the thoughts acquire speed, lips acquire saying, sayings come warning. Is by will alone I set my mind in motion. There you go. Said it fast. I did the whole thing.
Very good.
Thank you. If you guys are looking for a Mentat liturgy to find out there, you can look up mentatliturgy.com and they'll tell you the local There's Mentat Parish where you can take the juice of Safu. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys. Remember, you can always leave a super chat. And for part 2, it'll be up probably in a couple days. It won't be tomorrow. And yes, I will have the part 2 of City of God lectures up soon. Also in the next couple days. But everybody have a good night.